They don't do is waste and invest too much emotional energy 4 or 5 weeks out from a fight. You know, he's very matter of fact. He's ready to, you know, he's just ready to buckle down, get into training camp.
Well, delighted to be joined by Hall of Fame boxing promoter Frank Warren. Frank seemed fairly respectful up there. What did you make of it? And you, of course, you stood between the two giants. Tell us what you're thinking.
Well, they're both very, very big men. I think they were saying that he's the biggest heavyweight that AJ's faced, which is quite interesting. What do I make of it? I think it's going to be a real, real tough fight. I think it's a tough fight for both of them. It is going to be knockout chaos. There's no doubt about that. I genuinely think it will be a very exciting fight whilst it lasts. I really do. I think they both are big punchers, and it'd be interesting to see if and what happens when Ngannou, if he hits him on the chin, if he catches AJ. That is going to be interesting.
These shows in Riyadh, all part of Riyadh season, every time we go there, when we come on the plane back, something's happened. Something's happened that shifts the landscape. The Tyson Fury and Ngannou fight, we learnt a lot. The Day of Reckoning, Deontay Wilder got upset.
Yeah.
So much happens. It's quite a time.
Because they're big men, and big men, they throw big punches. And if one of those catches, it changes the fight. It can take the fight out of someone. It can knock them out. And that is what has happened. And there'll be more bumps in the road with this heavyweight situation on the way. It's no foregone conclusion. Nothing's a foregone conclusion with these guys. It's exciting times, and as I say, I genuinely think we're going to. Well, we're seeing these fights happening. They are as you know. Was it 6 months ago, a year ago?
Yeah.
Who would have even thought about this? And it's getting bigger and it's getting better. It's just fabulous.
I'm loving the Street Fighter computer game vibe that Turki Al-Sheikh was talking about. But back to Ngannou, how much do you think he can grow from that first fight? Because I think one thing they look back on now and feel like they could have done is gone a bit harder, because they were maybe a bit worried about managing the 30 minutes.
Well, that may be the case. I mean, he had learned from the fight. I'm sure he would have. Like I said, you know, AJ's going into the fight having seen him in action in a boxing ring, so he's got that knowledge which Tyson didn't have going into the fight. And as I said before, you know, you knew he could punch, you knew he's a tough guy, you knew on the inside, it was going to be very difficult to pull him about or, you know, try and maul him and so forth, because that's his game. What we didn't know is that he could box. So now that's established, we can see that. For me, the intriguing thing is, what has he learned from his first fight in a boxing ring? What does he look back and say? You just said what I think obviously must have come from the trainer, what they would have done different. Well, now they know that they know what it's like to be in. He knows what it's like to do 10 rounds. So what effect's that going to have on him? You know, AJ's a totally different fighter than Tyson is. He's got different strengths, weaknesses, whatever you want to call them. Can he exploit them? And that's going to be the interesting thing. One thing is, when they fought Tyson, and I think Tyson had an off night as well, but when they fought Tyson, they've done their homework, and he's a switch hitter. He can box at southpaw stance.
Who would have thought it?
Well, who would have thought he'd have shaped up as he shaped up? He wasn't square on like an MMA fighter normally is. He actually shaped up like a boxer, and boxed. And he did box.
Is Anthony Joshua facing a more dangerous version now of Francis Ngannou, now that he's got that 10 rounds in the bank, now that he knows how to play with his energy, peak at different times during the fight, maybe throw more shots, more meaningful shots? Has he got a more dangerous Ngannou? What do you think?
Well, again, they have the luxury, like they had with Tyson, of studying him, and they've studied AJ, and whereas Tyson was undefeated, he has losses on his record. So he will, if I was his trainer, I'd be looking to see how I can exploit what was the downfall in these fights that he lost. We know what he's good at doing. We know he's a big puncher. He looked very good in his last fight. He'd done everything that was asked of him. And now he's got to negate the strengths and exploit what the weaknesses are. And is he capable of doing that? We'll find out.
His Excellency up there, of course, sounds like he's got quite the vision. Look, it's Vision 2030. It's all about this. But he talked about a Queensberry versus Matchroom night. Have you had a chance to speak to Eddie sort of off camera about
we're going to do it.
Okay.
We're going to do it. So his best against our best.
Any fights in mind? Anything you can tease?
I want a big wager on it. I want to back our guys. I want to back us. I mean, what we need is an odd number of fights so we get a winner.
Be a big night, Andy.
No, when he was stood up on the balcony there, took a little shake and came out with that, I was just rubbing my hands because I was wondering to myself, has he just sprung this on Eddie and Frank, or did they know about this, or what the crack was?
This is boxing heaven. You know, for the fans, they're getting everything they want. Everything, because it's being made to happen because of Saudi, His Excellency, all of the people involved in this. It's made it happen, and it's the catalyst to make it happen. So that's brilliant for the fans. It's brilliant for the fans, and I'm delighted as such a boxing fan. That adds to it.
What a time to be a boxing fan. We also saw an undisputed belt up there on the screen as well. Sounds like that's going to be on the line for Fury Usyk. And then His Excellency talked about the winner of that.
Well, whoever wins the fight's got the belt, hasn't he? It's not one that any governing body's going to take it away if they don't have their mandatories. The winner is the undefeated. Sorry, he's the unilateral champion.
Wow.
You know, he's the unified champion. So anybody who fights him will be fighting for that right.
Yeah, it's something that boxing fans have been calling for a while, just a bit more clarity. I've never had a problem with more than one sanctioning body and numerous belts because we get unifications and there's all sorts of other things that can happen. Fighters get a lot of opportunities, but particularly do you feel it's more important in the top division than anywhere else that we have that clarity where people can name the heavyweight champion of the world as they always used to be able to?
Well, no, there has been times in the past where it's not been the case. You know, for years it didn't happen, did it? Between Lennox Lewis and Riddick Bowe, that fight never happened. We all wanted it and it didn't happen. When Lennox Lewis fought Mike Tyson, it was like 10 or 15 years after it should have happened. These fights are now happening, and they're coming thick and fast. And at the end of the day, when you've got something like this, a unified belt on the line, that's what they'll be fighting for.
Do you feel like Anthony Joshua, by taking this fight, is kind of, there's like an indirect going at Tyson Fury? In his last fight, he beat Otto Wallin, and he stopped Otto Wallin. Of course, Otto Wallin went the distance with Tyson Fury, a horrendous cut. If he now stops Francis Ngannou, isn't this a kind of, hey Tyson, I did what you couldn't do?
Well, look, you know, Otto Wallin, it was two different fights together. You know, Tyson suffered a really bad cut, and he was lucky to get through it with that cut. It was a dreadful cut. But he got through it and won, as he always does, and he done the same with Ngannou. He got through it which was an off night against a guy who obviously done his homework and come to fight. Of course, people will make that comparison, but the best way to find out who's the best, fight each other.
When can we expect any details of undercards for both of these two that are coming up?
Very soon, within the next day or so. They're cracking cards, by the way. I'll tell you what, the cards, all the fights on there are standalone fights.
Absolutely fantastic. Frank, thank you so much. I'm sure
Pleasure as always.
there's so many people here who want to talk to you, so go and talk to them. Thank you very much, Frank Warren.
Pleasure.
You're going to be here a while, I think.
I'll grab that off you.